the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him nothing was made that was made.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. It's Monday night on Untethered Live. I'm your host, Jake Johnson, and tonight we are in the great book of Genesis, chapter 5, verse something or other. I can't remember. 5-2, 5-1, 5-4, 5-1. 5-1, that's where we are. That's where we left it off last night. That's where we're going to pick up tonight. It's cold in here. My poor motorcycle is stuck in the front yard where I tried to leave yesterday. Not happening. Spinning out in the driveway. If I'd have got on the road, I'd have killed myself. So I stay at the house. But I did. My sister did come by and take me to the store today, so that was nice. Get everything collected up so that we have supplies. It's wonderful. Snowstorm. It's nice. We got about 1.5 feet of snow. You'd think the world has ended around here. I'm not scared of snow. I'd get out there in it right now, but I can't. I literally can't leave my driveway. But if I could, I would. Who's with me? Amy's here. She says, super busy tonight at work. Fires on campus. Flooding from bursted pipes. Students have zero common sense. I'll catch the replay. Love y'all. Yeah, that kind of sucks. Fires? They're starting fires. They don't have heat. Strange. Yeah, students have zero common sense. I'm arguing with one online right now about the existence of God. Dumb as a box of rocks, and just the way it is. Amanda says, Amy, here's your gold star. Enjoy. Hello, Miss Banhammer. Amanda says, Amy, hamburger helper hand, and hi, Untethered Live family. Good to see y'all. I hope everybody had a good day. Hiya, Jake. How are you tonight? Frosty. I'm Frosty. And that's the way it is. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hello. Cold and frosty. But you know what? I got a nice hot cup of coffee, and that makes everything better. Thank you to the person that provides the coffee for the show. I appreciate that. Joe, don't you know? It's a good cup. Makes you feel good. Puts hair on your chest. Makes you all manly and ready to have knowledge expounding experiences. Don't you want to have a cup with me? If so, go to the kitchen and pour yourself up a nice frosty cup. If you don't have a cup, you can get one in the description below. I recommend the first one. It does have my face on it, but it is fantastic. Looks good on your coffee table. But we also have down there stainless steel tumblers, big ones and little ones. They both have locking lids that keep your coffee hot for hours. They have the Bible study logo on the front, Untethered Live, and all the platforms on the back. And they look great on your coffee table, keep your coffee hot for hours. Get one if you can, if you dare, if you're cool enough to have one. They are kind of bespoke. But also, like, subscribe, share, support, join in. Super chats are available in the chat box if you'd like to show a little bit of love. But if you feel like you can do that at CashApp, $JakeJohnsonBand. And I greatly do appreciate that. Or PayPal.me/JakeJohnsonBand. Every little bit helps, and I am grateful. One last thing. If you like to hang out with us outside of the YouTuberverse, outside of their oppressive little fingers and me misreading everything you write down, you can do that over at Facebook.com/UntetheredLiveChillin'. The link is in the chat. It'll take you right over there. It's a great place to hang out. It's free. We have a group chat over there where everybody in this chat can get together. It's only for us. There's nobody else on Facebook there. It's just us. So you can talk to each other about sensitive things and keep it all in-house. Over there, it's a great place to be. Share pictures, text, memes, videos, and chat with one another, get to know one another. And also, it's updated regularly with videos about things that are adjacent to the things we're talking about here. And so it's entertaining, it's free, it's fun, it's yours, and it's over there, so go check it out. And now, on with the show. Amy says, hi, Amanda. Hi, Jake. Hi, Amy. Hi, Amy. Nice to see you. Amy says, like, shared, and invited some friends. Thank you very much. Yes. Kevin Bernard's here. Hello, Kevin. He says, be right back, everybody. Be right back. Before you get up for that final snack, I want you to know Kev will be right back. I missed the people. Hang on. My chat jumped. I didn't realize it. I got it. I got it. I got it. Amanda says, Kevin, hamburger, help her hand. Debbie's here. Hi, Debbie. Debbie says, hamburger, help her hand. Amanda says, Debbie, hamburger, help her hand. Linda's here. She says, hi, all. Hi, Linda. Nice to see you. I hope you ladies are staying warm tonight. I'm wrapped around in the celebratory blanket. The obligatory warmth machine. It is here. Amanda says, Linda, hamburger, help her hand. Judy's here. Hi, Judy. Judy says, hey, everyone. Kevin says, hamburger, help her hand. And Debbie and Linda. And Judy says, hey, Jake and Amanda. Hi, Judy. Nice to see you. Amanda says, Judy, hamburger, help her hand. Kevin says, hamburger, help her hand, Judy. Judy says, hey, Kevin. Randy Shackelford says, hello, Jake, and to all. In this live, looks like you all got some snow. We did. And how are you? Welcome. Kevin says, be right back, everybody. And Amanda says, what it is. Hi, Randall. Hamburger, help her hand. Yes, I know who that is. He's just under the old name for some reason. I can't ever figure out what YouTube is doing with the name thing. They just flip-flop. Keeps me confused. Whatever. Here's a link to the chat if anybody wants to check it out. Thank you, Amanda. Judy says, hey, Randall. Kevin says, help her hand, Randall. Nice to see you, what it is. Come on in, take your shoes off. Don't take your shoes off, it's cold. Put your shoes on. Amanda says, I'm thinking he's on his other account. It's possible. I don't know how to keep up with it. I just see whoever pops up, and if I remember the name, I talk to him as I know him. If I don't remember the name, I talk to him as I know him. Works for me. It's good to see everybody. We're going to have a real good read tonight. I can feel it in my bones. Genesis is my favorite book. It's the one I've studied the most. It has a soft place in my heart. And it's fantastic. But there's a lot of begats coming up, and we're probably going to skip those. Amy says, yeah, the symphony was playing for the senior citizens that they bus in for performances, and the fire alarm went off, and they evacuated the building, and it was a small fire in the ballet area. It's contained. They're probably trying to stay warm in there with all them little tights on. Imagine those are freezing cold in those little outfits. Probably wasn't the smartest thing to do, but when you got to stay warm, right? Build a fire. Yep, it has been snowing, and we're stuck at the house. Amy says, it made a mess. Imagine those elderly people terrified and trying to rush out, and the handicap exit was busy. Walking with their canes really fast, their walkers. Guys zipping by on wheelchairs. I bet it was a sight. Rachel's here. Hi, Rachel. Nice to see you. Welcome back. It's a lovely day in the neighborhood, everybody. It's a great day for America. It's a great day for the world. Amanda says, Rachel, hamburger, help her hand. So anyway, we are in the book of Genesis, and we are going to talk about all that entails. We got the flood coming up. We've got Sodom and Gomorrah coming up. We've got Lot coming up. A lot of things are going to happen real quick in the next couple of days, biblically speaking. And it's going to be quite the ride. And I hope you guys are enjoying the new improved laydown. Kevin says, hamburger helper hand, Rachel. Amy says, hi, Rachel. It's good to see you here. Judy says, hey, Rachel. And Kevin says, question for Jake. My man, I love questions. Lay it on me. Fab Daddy's here. He says, 6 more weeks of winter, says Puxatawny Phil. Really? I don't know why we listen to that drunk old groundhog. Is Satan part of God's plan? Yes. I was arguing with somebody about that today. Yes, Satan is part of God's plan. At least the part where he is the tempter of mankind and prince of the world, that is part of God's plan. You have to have both sides of an opinion in order to make a choice. You understand? You were put here to love God willingly, of your own free will, of your own heart. And the only way that that can happen is if you have the opposite option. If you don't have the other option, you're just a robot. You don't have free will. But because you have an option, because there are other choices, you can choose to love God, and that's real love. I don't make the rules, but that's how love works. And yes, that is part of God's plan, and it is laid out in the Bible, and we've covered it. Now, the part about Satan or Lucifer overthrowing God, remember, Satan is a title, not a name. There's more than one Satan. But Lucifer rebelling against God was probably not his plan. He probably knew it would happen, but he was probably hoping against hope that it wouldn't, and it did. Even God can't control the future because the future was given to us as a choice. So he doesn't control which choice you make. All of you, anybody that has free will, you can make whatever choice you want. The beginning was set and the end is set. Whatever happens in the middle is up to you. I hope that answers your question. Fab Daddy says, hi, everyone. Cowboys 8 panels here. Hi, guys. Hey, Cowboys. Nice to see you. How are you doing today? Amanda says, Cowboys, hamburger upper hand. Amy says, if I were a groundhog, snuggled warm asleep, and someone threw me out in the cold, I'd run back in too. I agree. And Linda says, hamburger upper hand, Amy. Kevin says, is that why God never destroyed Satan? Yes. But he will destroy Satan at the end. And that's because of the rebellion, not because of him doing the job that God put him here to do. You see, along with being the tempter of man, Satan got in his head that he could take the place of God, be the Most High. You can't be that. That job's already taken. And that is considered treason in heaven. I mean, you can't go against God. He's God. So when Satan did that and a certain number of angels followed him, well, they became the enemy. And when they became the enemy, God set their destruction date, which is at the end times during judgment. When they get judged, they get destroyed, along with anybody that followed them. It's a bit complicated, but that's the basic gist of it. And I don't understand it fully, but I get the idea of what's happening there. Cowboy says, hi, guys. Fab Daddy says, hi, everyone. Hello, peoples. Amanda says, Cowboys, hamburger helper hand. Oh, I've already read all that. Sorry. Yeah, okay. Amy says, hi, Fab, and hi, Cowboys. And Amanda says, LOL, Amy. Chat jumping all over the place. It jumped backwards that time. Amanda says, LOL, Amy. We have to do that to Tribble right now, and she won't walk out in the snow. It's funny. That's because the snow rubs her little titties. She doesn't like it. She has little short legs, so she bogs down in the snow and it rubs her belly, and she don't like that at all. But I did take her out, and she did pee, but she didn't go very far. Amy says, LOL, Amanda. Cowboy says, hi, Amy. Judy says, hey, Fab. Hey, Cowboys. Kevin says, Fab Daddy and Cowboys, hamburger upper hand. Amy says, going back to work. I'll try to listen. Have a blessed night, y'all. I'll listen closer later. Amy, you do your job, honey. That's all that matters. We love you, and I know you'll listen after you're done. And have a great night. And don't work too hard. And stay warm. Amanda says, have fun, Amy. Cowboy says, hi, Judy. Amy says, thanks, LOL. Judy says, bye, Amy. Amy says, I'm still here. I'm just in lurker mode. Linda says, hi, Judy and Cowboys and Fab. You ladies doing okay? I hope you're staying warm and being safe, not getting bogged down in the ice. I hope you have access to go get supplies. If you happen to be in a snowed-in area. And Cowboy says, hi, Linda. Judy says, hey, Linda. I think that's all of them. Yep. We'll go for just a couple more minutes, and then we'll get started. Kevin says, if I view a perfect, beautiful world without any type of evil as a boring, I mean, how can there be good without bad? And what does that say about me? It says that you're normal because that's what the world is. You're seeing it the right way. Good and bad are balanced. You understand? The universe is finely tuned. That means it's balanced perfectly. Everything works exactly the way it should. And if it were out of sync 1 degree in any direction, the whole thing would fall apart. Along with that, you have to have good and bad to make a whole person. Notice how you've never met an interesting person that didn't have a really messed up childhood? It's because that's what builds character. It's weird, but stress builds character. Strain builds character. Even Christianity. The whole word Israel, the name he gave the original people that started Christianity, means to wrestle with God. So if you're not struggling with it, if you're not pushing back and forth with it, you're not doing it right. That's the intention. So good and bad go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. Just like you can't have an up without a down. You can't have a left without a right. You can't have a good without an evil. That's just the way it is. So it says that you're normal. I wouldn't stress about feeling that way. Amber Grounds is here. She says, smiley faces and hearts and hamburger helper hands and surprised hearts. Hey, Amber. Cowboy says, this cold is bogus. Yes, it is. Amber says, good evening, friends. Mystery heart. Ben David is back. Hello, son of David. Nice to see you. Baruch Hashim Adonai Shalom, Jake. Assalamu alaikum. I don't know what you said there because I don't speak that language. I'd have to look it up. Amanda says, Amber, burger helper hands. I know what Adonai means. I know that one. And I know what Shalom means. I'm not sure what Baruch means, and I'm not sure what Hashim means. But I know it's plural. Amanda says, Amber, hamburger helper hand. Linda says, hamburger helper hand, Amber. Amber says, my entire childhood was effed. No lie. That's why you're so interesting. That was my point. Hard childhoods make good people. Hard times make good people. Good times make strong people. Overindulgent times makes weak people, and weak people make bad people, and bad people make hard times. Hard times makes good people. It's a vicious cycle. Amanda says, Ben David, hamburger upper hand. Madison's here. She says, hiya, everyone. Hi, Madison. Nice to see you. How's the garden? Cowboy says, hi, Amber. Kevin says, hamburger helper hand, Amber. Welcome to the club of messed up childhoods. Oh, yeah, mine too. I could tell you stories. You would think I was lying, but I'd tell them to you. Amber says yin and yang. That's correct. The Chinese understood this principle thousands of years ago when they produced that symbol. The white and the dark, the good and the bad, a little bit of bad and the good, and a little bit of good and the bad. That's a perfect balance of the universe we live in. And Judy says, hey, Amber. Kevin says, hamburger help her hand, Madison. Cowboy says, hi, Kevin. And Judy says, hey, Madison. Amanda says, Madison, hamburger help her hand. Linda says, hamburger help her hand, Madison. Ben David says, blessed be the name of God. Okay, I got it. I knew what Adonai meant. I just wasn't sure what you were saying there. But I got it. Thank you. His name is blessed every day. Cowboy says, hi, Madison. All right, you guys ready to get started? If you got your Bibles handy, crack them open to that first book of Genesis, chapter 5, verse 2, 1. I'll find out in a minute. Let me look. 5:1. That's it. Chapter 5, verse 1. And let's go down, shall we? Cowboy says, yep, I'm ready. Right on. Amber says, Jake, I'd not think you're lying. My story is insane. I think it's why I walk away and never fuss or fight for a place in anyone's life. I just don't. I hear you. And Linda says, going into listening mode. Oh. Well, I love you, Linda. You can talk anytime you want. So can you, Amber. And you have a place here. You don't have to look. You don't have to fight. You don't have to try. You're here. You're ready for the world? Ready for the word? I will be, says Ben David. Excellent. And quite the Yoda expression. Ready for the word? I will be. All right. This book is The Generations of Adam. That is a title. That's the descriptor of who wrote this book, or at least who spoke it. Maybe someone else compiled it, but this is his story. Adam. So anytime you wonder who wrote these books, they have signatures in them. They begin with the descriptor of who wrote it or who it's about. Yeah, Linda says, it took me forever to learn that, Amber. Right. And it's a good lesson to learn. At some point, you have to look out for number one and let the world come to you. This book is The Generations of Adam. In the day that God created man, that word is Adam, that's mankind, that's all men, not just one. In the likeness of God made he him. Male and female created he them. All right, this first him is Adam. The next them is mankind. Do you see the difference? The first statement is God created man. In the likeness of God made he Adam. And then male and female created he the rest of the world. Adam did not have a female at that point. He created Eve after he created Adam. So that is the reason it is expressed in this fashion. It's a little confusing, and most people take away when reading this that God created all men in God's image. And that is not what this says. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm saying that's not what this says. This says that he created a specific man in his image, and he created everybody else in their own image. Created he them. Not him, them. I was made in my image. My spirit is the image of this body. Adam's spirit is the image of God's body. See the difference? Your spirit is in the image of your body. Every body is unique. Every spirit fits that body. You cannot take your spirit and put it in another body. That's not how spirits work. However, angels can, because they don't have a physical flesh body. They are celestial from the start. That is their body, the celestial form. We have a celestial form, but it was created to fit in this meat sack, right? They don't. They were created just like they are. So their spirit can go into anybody, even one that you make, they can inhabit it. We can't do that. At least we don't have the autonomy to do it. Maybe we can physically do it, but we can't do it ourselves. Someone else has to do it. We don't have the autonomy to remove our spirit from this meat sack until it breaks. When it breaks, the spirit is tethered to heaven and it goes back to heaven. You can read about that when they talk about the silver cord parting or the clay pot breaking. That's when this body dies and the spirit goes back to the Father where it is right now. That silver cord is analogous of the connection between your spirit, which is in heaven, to this body, which is on earth. And that's how that works. Your spirit is not physically in this meat sack. It is operating it via Wi-Fi from heaven or something like it. That's how you can understand that. And called their name Adam in the day when they were created. This word Adam is the same as the first word man, 𝕊𝕏𝕐𝕐𝕘. Called their name man of the dirt. That's what that means. In the day they were created. Not the man Adam, Adam and Eve. That's a specific man. He's talking about all of men. All right. Then we switch back to the specific man. And Adam, not 𝕊𝕏𝕐𝕐𝕘, but Adam, lived 130 years and begat a son in his own likeness and after his image. That's how you know that what I said earlier is correct. Adam's son is in his image. Like father, like son, right? Same thing with God, like father, like son. You will hear a word later on called sons of God. That word translates to B'nai HaElohim. That is spiritual bodies of God. It's not what we are, that's what they are. Adam begat a son in his own likeness after his own image and called his name Seth. Well, what happened to Cain and Abel? Cain is cursed and Abel is dead. They're not having children that go into this bloodline. Also, Cain is not Adam's son, so he is not counted in Adam's genealogy. Seth is the only son Adam had to this point that would have offspring to put forth his bloodline. As Christ came through Seth. Okay. And the days of Adam after he begotten Seth were 800 years. So that's 930 years he lived. And during that time he begat sons and daughters, lots of them. And all the days of Adam were 930 years and he died. Imagine knowing your great-great-great-great-great-great-grandson and being able to spend time with them. That's a lot of generations under one patriarch. That's why the patriarchy. It ain't like that anymore, but it used to be. Seth lived 105 years and begot Enos, and Seth lived after he begot Enos 807 years, begetting sons and daughters. And all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. He lived a little less than his father did. And Enos lived 90 years and begat Canaan. Not Canaan the country, Canaan the man, not related. And Enos lived after he begot Canaan 815 years and begot sons and daughters, and lots of them. And all the days of Enos were 905 years, and he died. He lived a little less than his father. See, even now the timeline is dropping, right? Not everybody lives 1,000 years. So this body was designed to last for about 1,000 years. Due to our current atmosphere and our current exposure to gamma radiation from space and solar winds and all of the things that happen and the food that we eat and the chemicals that we're exposed to and the air that we breathe, all of that stuff has shortened our lifespan dramatically. We're living 1/10 of what we could live. Will we ever get back to that? I doubt it. We get in too much trouble when we live that long. Look at all the trouble we get into living this long. Canaan lived 70 years and begat Mahalaleel, an important figure. And Canaan lived after he begat Mahalaleel 840 years and begat lots of sons and daughters. And all the days of Canaan were 910 years, still dropping. Interesting that. And he died. Right, Amy? Couldn't imagine it. Imagine living 800 plus years. It hurts at 55 already. I couldn't imagine the pain of 800. Well, one thing that you've got to consider is that when you live 800 years, you also mature a lot slower. So you might be 200 years old before you reach the age of 20. See what I'm saying? Physically speaking. April's here. She says, be right back. Hi, everybody. Why didn't you just wait and say hi, everybody, and then we'd never know you came and left? Amy says, I know the earth was different back then. It was. Amanda says, April, hamburger helper hand. Hi, April. How are you, sweet lady? Nice to see you. I hope you're staying warm out there in Florida. Mahalaleel lived 65 years and begat Jared. And Mahalaleel lived after he begat Jared, another important figure, 830 years and begat lots of sons and daughters. And all the days of Mahalaleel were 895 years. He jumped right back. He almost made it to 900 years. He jumped back up to that 900-year period. But still lesser than his father, who lived 840 years. No, it's more than his father. He went back up a little bit. Yeah, I said it right. Judy says, hey, April. Amber says, eyes. Hey, Amber. And hey, eyes. What does eyes mean exactly? Angel's here? I didn't see her come in. I'm guessing she didn't come in. Are you seeing something we're not seeing, Amber? Kevin says they also seem to be having children younger with each generation. Right. Ben David says, if the flesh dies and the spirit lives and goes back to the Creator, does the spirit come back in a new body? I don't know. The Bible doesn't not say it does. There are other religions, such as the Vedas, the Indian religions, that say reincarnation is a thing. The Bible doesn't exclude it, but it doesn't mention it either. It's a non-issue. The Bible does say that you have to be born once of man. So at least once you have to be here. If it comes back, I wouldn't say that's an impossibility, but it's not the regular. I don't think everybody comes back. And maybe there's a reason you would come back, and God may put you in another body. Maybe you got shorted out of a life or it was unfair. I don't know. That's a good question, though. April says, yeah, I'm doing fine. Good to see you, Jake, Amanda, Amy, Amber, and Judy, and Kevin. Kevin says, April, hamburger upper hand. And April says, Linda, good to see you. Ben, Cowboys, Fab Daddy, much love and hugs. All right, let me get back to it. $805 years, 95 years. And Jared lived 162 years, and he begat Enoch. That's seventh from Adam. That's 7 generations we just covered. And Jared lived after he begot Enoch 800 years and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Jared were 962 years, and he died back up to about 950, 962. So they're fluctuating between 1,000 years and 500 years in that area. Most of them are 800 and 900 years. Pretty sweet living. Enoch lived 65 years and begat Methuselah. That's eighth from Adam, excuse me. Enoch walked with God after he begat Methuselah 300 years and begat sons and daughters, and all the days of Enoch were 365 years. Well, that's not very long, 365 years, because Enoch is special. Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. Enoch got the tour of the universe. Angels took Enoch and showed him the whole creation of God, the things that we don't get to see. The underworld, the outer world, the heavens, the different layers of heaven, the lake of fire, the abyss, what we would call hell or Hades or the underworld. All of that, paradise, Abraham's bosom, he got to see it all with the angels. So he was not on this earth, and he didn't die on this earth. The Bible says it is appointed to every man to die once. What does that mean? Well, Enoch has to die. He hasn't done it yet, though. He's still alive. So is Elijah. They both got taken by God. Who are the two witnesses in Revelations? My guess would be the two that haven't died yet, because they're going to get killed in the streets during that time. That's their appointed time to die. See? So they get to not break the rules. They don't live forever, but they got an extended life because they have a job to do. So they were taken out of the earth in their day, and they're going to fulfill their destiny in Revelations. Interesting. And Methuselah lived 180 years and 7 years and begat Lamech. That's 9 from Adam. And Methuselah lived after he begat Lamech 782 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Methuselah were 969 years. And he died. Now that is the oldest age that you're going to find. 969 years. He almost made 1,000. He didn't quite make it, though. Now, there's something interesting I want you to understand about these 9 people that I just talked to you about. I gotta get it down where I can see it, though. When applying the meaning of the names with the first genealogy list in the Bible, the 9 that we just mentioned, there is an interesting observation, and it is the message of the gospel of Christ. Right? The names of the people which they could not have foreseen because they didn't know this was going to happen. They just were living their lives and for whatever reason chose the names they chose. And in Hebrew to English, Adam means man, Seth means appointed, Enosh means mortal, Canaan means sorrow, Mahalalel means the blessed God, Jared means shall come down. Enoch means teaching. Methuselah means his death shall bring. And Lamech means the despairing. And Noah, who is Lamech's son, means rest or comfort. Now, if you take all of those first 9 or 10 people right there, the first 10 people that are mentioned in the genealogy list, the first list of the Bible in Genesis, and put the meanings of their names together in a sentence, you get something like this. Man is appointed moral sorrow, but the blessed God shall come down teaching that his death shall bring the despairing rest. That is the message of the gospel of Christ. Here's the detail behind the meanings of each name. Adam's name means man, as the first man that seems straightforward enough. Seth is Adam's son, and Adam named him Seth, which means appointed. And Eve said, "For God hath appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew." So Seth is the appointed one. Through Seth will come Christ. Enosh, Seth's son, was called Enosh, which means mortal, frail, or miserable. It is from the root anash. To be incurable is what that means. Used of a wound or grief or woe or sickness or wickedness. It was the days of Enosh that men began to defile the name of the living God. Canaan, or Kenan, Enosh's son, was named Kenan, which can mean sorrow, dirge, or elegy. Dirge. The precise denotation is somewhat elusive. Some study aids unfortunately presume that Kenan is a synonym with Canaan, which I pointed out when we read it. Canaan, they're not related to the country. Balaam, looking down from the heights of Moab, used a pun upon the name of the Kenites when he prophesied their destruction. We have no real idea as to why the names were chosen for their children. Often they may have referred to circumstances at birth and so on. Well, their names are allegories of the time they live in. Like you said, Kenan was in the time of sorrow. That's when man started turning against and rebelling against God. A lot can happen in 900 years. Mahalalel, Kenan's son, was Mahalalel from Mahalal, which means blessed or praise, and El, which means the name of God. El, Elohim, Aloha, however you want to say it. Thus, Mahalalel means blessed God. Often Hebrew names include El, the name of God, such as Daniel, God is my judge, etc. God is my judge for the book of Daniel. Imagine that, because it's analogous with Revelations, which is to reveal the judgment. What? I'm not reading the book. I'm talking. Let me talk. I'm flowing here. I'll get to the book when I'm done explaining the names that we just covered. Jared, Mahalalel's son, was named Jared from the verb yarda, meaning shall come down. Or Urata, however you say that, it's Hebrew. Urata, Jared. They don't have a J in Hebrew, so we say Jared. They would have said Urata. Enoch, Jared's son, was named Enoch, which means teaching or commencement. He was the first of 4 generations of preachers. In fact, the earliest recorded prophecy was by Enoch. He has his own book, and we just covered it, which amazingly enough deals with the second coming of Christ, although it is quoted in the book of Jude in the New Testament. The book of Enoch is quoted several times in the Bible, actually. There's several people that draw from the book of Enoch, which is why we read it, because I think it's important. And I think the reason they took it out was kind of silly, because it was weird. Methuselah, interesting. Enoch was the father of Methuselah, who we have already mentioned. Enoch walked with God after he begat Methuselah. Apparently, Enoch received the prophecy of the great flood and was told that as long as his son was alive, judgment of the flood would be withheld. The year that Methuselah died, the very week, in fact, the flood came. Enoch, of course, never did die because he was translated, or if you'll excuse the expression, he was raptured. No. He was not raptured. He was taken by God. The rapture isn't real. Don't put words in my mouth. But that's how Methuselah came to be the oldest man in the Bible, yet he died before his father did. Because the oldest man on earth, Enoch is not on earth, which is why Methuselah is the oldest man. Lamech, Methuselah's son, was named Lamech, a root still evident today in our own English word lament, which means to feel sorrow or to express sorrow and anguish, or as such as in lamentation. Lamech suggests despairing. This name is also linked to the Lamech in Cain's line, who inadvertently killed his son, Tubal-Cain, in a hunting accident. Isn't that interesting? We read about that too. Noah, Lamech, of course, is the father of Noah, which is derived from nacham, to bring grief or bring relief or comfort. As Lamech himself explained in Genesis 5:29, this is a nice demonstration that in the earliest chapters of the book of Genesis, God had already laid out his plan of redemption for the predicament of mankind. It is a love story written in blood on a wooden cross, which was erected in Judea almost 2,000 years later. Now, that's it. That's all I'm going to read of that. I want you to understand what we're talking about here. It's very, very important that you realize that from the very beginning, God had his plan laid out, and he had a direction that he was trying to go. And mankind and Satan would interrupt that plan occasionally, but it got right back on track and kept going. All of these things could have been accomplished in the Garden of Eden during that time had man not sinned. Had Satan not intervened, Jesus would have been right there in the Garden of Eden. He was the tree of life that we talked about last night. He was already there. If you watch my episode 422, I break down that first line of Genesis into its ancient Paleo-Hebrew and the meaning thereof, and it tells you exactly that Christ was not only there, he was mentioned first before God, because he's the strength of God, and God is the power of the house. All right. Back to the Bible now. Methuselah lived after he begat Lamech 782 years and begat sons and daughters, and all the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. Methuselah being the oldest man recorded. Nobody made it to 1,000 except for Enoch, who's in heaven, so you can't say that he made it to 1,000 here on this earth. And Lamech lived 182 years and begat a son, and he called his name Noah, saying, This same shall comfort us concerning our work and toil of our hands, because of the ground which the Lord hath cursed. Well, he's not only going to do that, he's going to save your life, because he's going to save all of mankind, because a big flood's coming after his daddy dies. His granddaddy. Lamech lived after he begat Noah 95 years and begat sons and daughters. All of these people are producing offspring like mad. So that's why the earth filled up so quickly. And a lot can happen in those years. And all the days of Lamech were 777 years. 777. Lamech, the father of Noah, lived 777 years and died. That number is significant. And Noah was 500 years old, and Noah begat Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God, that's the B'nai Ha-Elohim, the angels from heaven, saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. All right, now we're getting into the fallen angel thing. One thing I would like to point out is that this occurred during Noah's life. But Noah was born shining with Shekinah glory. That's weird. It scared the bejesus out of his parents. They thought he was a monster at first. They couldn't look at him. He was too bright, too pretty, too shiny. And apparently he was quite a big fella. Big. 12, 14 feet tall, something like that, when he grew up. And apparently he was born talking. I don't know about all that, but that's what the book of Enoch says. That he proclaimed the glory of God when he was born. That could be allegory for he screamed like a banshee, but I think he was actually talking. I don't know. Whatever, it scared his parents silly. They had to go ask their parents what they should do about it. What should we do? Our son's glowing. He's a special kid. What can I say? He is, in fact, yours. It is from God, so you can take it. But Noah was special. It doesn't make a big deal out of it here, but in the book of Enoch, it was quite the ordeal. His father actually went traveling to find his father, Enoch, to ask him what to do about it. So these sons of God, I want you to keep focused on them because they're not the same as the men that we've been talking about previously. This B'nai Elohim thing is very special. These are angels that left their habitation and came to earth against God's will. This is their own actions. This is that free will into play. They're doing something they shouldn't do. They are creating an abomination on this earth by having offspring with the women of the earth. Those people were not intended to live here. This is not what God designed this place for, and it's the root of all of the problems past this in the rest of the Bible. This is the beginning of those issues. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years, because, we're going to destroy this world. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that. This also after that is a future tense. It's talking about in the future, meaning now. Just like Christ would say, just like in the days of Noah, so will be the coming of man. That time will be the same way it was when Noah was here. What was going on in the earth when Noah was here? The B'nai Elohim were on the planet visiting. What would that look like to a person that lives on this planet? What do you think it looks like when an angel comes from heaven or outer space and lands on earth in a craft? Because they, according to Ezekiel and Enoch, they use craft. And then they come and probe or mate with humankind. What does that look like to you? An alien invasion? What are we seeing more and more of in the news every day? Talk about UFOs. Just like in the days of Noah, so it will be at the end times. And so it is. And also after that, when the B'nai Elohim, the sons of God, came in unto daughters of men, and they bare children unto them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. That's fame, right? We're talking about the Olympians and the Titans. If you were in Greek mythology, that's what we're talking about. They recorded it as such. We recorded it as the B'nai Elohim. But it's the same events. These same beings were on this earth in those days. They were men of old, men of renown, famous and big, giant, powerful, hungry. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. All they were doing were taking more and more and more, devouring more and more and more. They were evil all the time. Wicked thoughts, violent thoughts, ravenous thoughts, lustful thoughts. That's what the offspring of angels do. They don't belong here. Unchecked power is what it was. And that whole concept, it repented the Lord and had made man, it repented him that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him in his heart. In other words, he was thinking, what have I done here? God said that about us. What have I done? I hate that I even started all of this. It hurts my heart to think that I even did this, because look at them. Look at what they're doing to the planet. I gave you a nice planet and you screwed it up. That's God. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I created from off the face of the earth, both man and beast, and creeping thing and fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. I'm going to treat the world like an etch-a-sketch. Start over. So God did. He etch-a-sketched the world. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord, and these are the generations of Noah. There's another title. This is a new book written by or about Noah. Adam first, Noah next. Here we go. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations. And Noah walked with God. What does that mean? It means that he knew God. He spoke to him. Same thing his great-grandfather did. Enoch walked with God. Now, in the days of Garden of Eden, God was here on earth and he talked to everybody. After that, though, after the fall of man, he drew back. And he only talked to special people after that. He didn't come down and hang out with mankind anymore. But he did talk to special people. And still you could get a hold of God. He was still close enough that you could call him. But as time goes on, the more God pulls back and the more we sin and the more perpetration we do against God on this earth, the more he washes his hands of the whole thing and does not contact us anymore. But Noah was special, as I told you, and he was perfect, meaning he was not corrupted by the bloodlines of the fallen angel. His family wasn't, and he believed in God. He followed the word of God, unlike the other men who were reviling against God and rebelling and doing wicked things in the world. Noah stayed pure, him and his family. He taught his children to fear God, so he was considered righteous, much like Job was. Noah begat 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt. For all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. Everybody was doing it, just like they are right now. Everybody's involved. Everybody is complicit. Everybody's guilty of corruption on this earth. And God didn't like it a lot. He didn't like it a lot. And God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them, and behold, I will destroy them with the earth. I'm just going to wipe it clean. Noah's like, can I interest you in a day off? Maybe back away from the edge just a minute? He says, Noah, take your boys and tell them to go for wood. Make thee an ark of gopher wood. Rooms shalt thou make in the ark, and shalt pitch it within and without with pitch, or turpentine, or tar, some waterproofing mechanism. And this is the fashion which thou shalt make it of. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, the breadth of it 50 cubits, and the height of it 30 cubits. A cubit is whoever the Pharaoh or the king is, from the tip of his middle finger to the end of his elbow is a cubit. And whoever the king is, that cubit changes throughout the land of his kingdom while he's king. That is the royal measurement. Thank God we all went to a standard measure. Feet or metric, however you look at it, it's a standardized thing now. Back then, wherever you were, whoever was in charge, they decided what the statistic was. So you could say that it varies a little. Interestingly enough, though, we still build boats today by these same measurements. The aircraft carrier is exactly the same proportions as the Ark of Noah was, because it's the right measurement for the job of staying afloat and being stable. So it's very good boat building accuracy right here. You can try this out yourself if you like. Build you a boat with the same measurements to scale or otherwise, and you will see that it is very stable on the water. A window shalt thou make in the ark, and in a cubit shalt thou finish it above, all the way around the top, a cubit height, a window. And the door of the ark shalt thou set in the side thereof, which lowers. Second and third stories shalt thou make it. So, from the second story up is where the door started. So there's a level below the door and 2 levels from the door up. That means that the door lows down and forms a ramp that you can walk up on. That's where the iconic picture of the animals going into the ark through the side door, that's where that comes from. And behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die. And Noah's like, Jesus, man, relax. I'm building the ark. You don't have to kill everybody. But with thee, Noah, I will establish my covenant, and thou shalt come into the ark. Notice the phrase, come in to the ark. Where is God for that to be an accurate statement? Come into the ark. God is inside the ark. You understand? God rode with them during the flood. He was in the ark with man in the flood. He did not leave them alone. He did not forsake them. He was with them. He closed the doors from the inside. Okay. I will establish my covenant with thee, and thou shalt come into the ark, thou and thy sons and thy wife and thy sons' wives with thee. It's 8 people of that bloodline. How do I know there were more than 8 people on the ark? The next line tells you. And of every living thing of all flesh, 2 of every sort shalt thou bring into the ark, a pink one and a blue one. To keep them alive with thee, they shall be male and female. 2 of every living thing. Are people living? So there were 2 Ethiopians and 2 Japanese and 2 Chinese and 2 Egyptian and 2 Arabian and 2 and 2 and 2 and 2 and 2 and 2. 2 and 2 make 4. That's right. Of the fowls after their kind, and cattle after their kind, of every creeping thing on the earth after his kind, 2 of every sort shall come unto thee to keep them alive. That's just the keep them alive portion. There are other animals that will be for sacrifice and for food and other things, clothing and whatnot. And there will be 7 of those kind, but 2 of everything that needs to be kept alive. There will also be clean and unclean categories. There's a lot of people going on the ark, not just the 8 Adamic people from Adam. That's also how I know that all of the races were created on the sixth day, because they make the distinction here. Noah and his three sons and their wives are from Adam. The rest of the people on the ark are not from Adam. They are the sixth-day creation people, the other races. Noah's race was particular, the one Christ would come through. Does that mean he was better than everybody else? No. Does that mean he was white? No. And the Lord said unto Noah, I skipped one. And take thou unto thee of all food that is eaten, and thou shalt gather it to thee, and it shall be food for thee for them. So for you and for them, you're going to feed everybody. So you got to bring in grain and wheat and macaroni and cheese and hamburger helper and whatever you can find. Bring it in and stock it up so that you can eat for at least a year. And for God's sake, don't forget the Alabama King ground cornbread mix. What's that called? What's the word I'm looking for? Cornmeal. That's it. Don't forget the Alabama King cornmeal. You cannot live on an ark without cornbread. I'm just telling you. Thus did Noah according to all that God had commanded him, so he did. And the Lord said unto Noah, Come thou and all thy house into the ark. For thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation. Of every clean beast thou shalt take thee by sevens. Now, he's already taken 2 of everything. That's already in the ark. Now he's going to do the things that they're going to be for food and for sacrifice and for clothing and whatever else needs they have to feed the other animals with, whatever. Take by sevens, the male and his female. And of the beasts that are not clean, by 2, male and female. That's pigs and, scavengers, cockroaches and buzzards and that sort of thing. Of fowls also of the air by 7, male and female, to keep seed alive upon the face of the earth. What is that talking about? Well, you need more birds than just men, right? Men can proliferate. We've seen that happen already with the 10 men that were 10 generations, and all of their sons and daughters. But if you're going to repopulate the world, have you ever seen a flood happen? Everything is leveled. Everything is mush. But birds come in and eat all of the bugs that come up out of the ground after the water recedes. And they also pick up seeds. And then they fly away and poop them out at various places. And trees begin to grow out of those seeds. That's what birds do. That's why you need 7 of every bird, every fowl, because they eat seeds and then propagate the species of trees out throughout the world. Because all the trees have been killed and knocked over and, damaged from the flood. But their seeds are still good. So they need to be spread around. All of the trees we have today are all since 4,500 years ago. That's interesting to note that the oldest tree known to man is about 4,500 years old. It was there after the flood. Of the fowls, also of the air, by 7s, male and female, to keep them alive and to keep seed alive upon all the face of the earth. For yet 7 days, and I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. Did the rain cause the flood? No. You can't cover the earth with water with 40 days of rain. And every living substance that I have made will I destroy from off the face of the earth. Yeah, God's serious. He's not joking around about this. So Noah gets busy and he builds the ark and he fills it and supplies it and stocks it and gets everybody in and closes the door and they wait. One thing I don't know if this is going to mention or not in this particular version or this particular part, but Noah, while he was building the ark, he would go and preach every day for people to come and get on the ark, and they all laughed him to scorn and thought he was a ridiculous man. It's not going to rain. It's never rained before, right? What makes you think it's going to rain? He's like, come on, get on the ark with me. He's like, no, you're crazy. You're building a boat in the middle of the desert. That's not very smart, dude. Come get on the boat with me. And they wouldn't come. Now, when it started raining, they were a little suspicious. When it was up to their ankles, they started walking towards the ark. When it was up to their knees, they were beating on the ark trying to get in. But he was already in there and the doors were already closed. So while the water rose, he could hear people beating and clawing and scratching on the outside of the ark trying to get in, to no avail. They all drowned. When you hear God calling, answer him. Don't wait. Because something's coming, and if you wait, you're going to be too late. Remember that. And Noah did all that God commanded, and Noah did according unto all the Lord commanded him. And Noah was 600 years old when the flood waters were upon the earth. And Noah went in, and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him into the ark, because of the waters of the flood, of clean beasts and of beasts that are not clean, and of fowls and of everything that creepeth upon the earth. There went in 2 and 2 unto Noah in the ark, the male and the female, as God had commanded Noah. So he's getting the job done. And it came to pass after 7 days, it took 7 days to load the ark, that the waters of the flood were upon the earth. And in the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, that would be May the 17th. The same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. So it was raining, and then all the water that was under the earth rushed up out of the ground. There's 10 miles of rock on top of that water. So when that crack happened and that water came out and all that rock pushed down, all that water spewed out at supersonic speeds. If you were near the crevices, you would have been eviscerated. It would have been super hot and super fast, and you would have just been eviscerated. Pink mist. Done. But this is on the other side of the world. Noah's in a very general place in Egypt. The cracks on the earth are in the middle of the ocean now. The Marianas Trench and the one over there in China. I can't never remember the name of it. They crack open, and the water spews up, reaching to outer space, throwing rock and debris. Notice if you look up at the moon, how all the craters on the moon are facing us. It's because that rocks that hit the moon came from us, from the blast. That's my guess. I don't know, but I think it's true. Now, where Noah was, the water just rose. It was raining and the water just rose. But if you were anywhere near those cracks, you were eviscerated, dead before you even knew what was happening. And the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. In the selfsame day entered Noah and Shem and Ham and Japheth, the sons of Noah, and Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of his sons with them, into the ark, they and every beast after his kind, and all the cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth after his kind, and every fowl after his kind, every bird of every sort, by 7s, because you need lots of birds. And they went in unto Noah into the ark, 2 and 2 of all flesh, wherein is the breath of life. And they went male and female of all flesh, as God had commanded him, and the Lord shut him in. Remember that God said, come into the ark, not go into the ark. Come. He was in there saying it. Come in. And the flood was 40 days upon the earth, and the waters increased and bare up the ark. So it took 40 days for the ark to start moving upwards. And it was lifted up above the earth. The waters prevailed and were increased greatly upon the earth, and the ark went upon the face of the waters. And remember, the ark did not go anywhere. It just floated. All it had to do was be watertight. It didn't have oars, and it didn't have an engine or a mast or a whatever you call that thing that turns it left and right. It didn't have any of that. It just floated. It floated, and then it came back down when the waters receded, and it had moved approximately, I don't know how many miles it is from Egypt to Turkey, but you can look at a map, and it's right over there. So it came down in Turkey, not too far from home. So when they got out of the ark, they went back home. And you can see civilization going and cities build up as they went. And when they got there, they went down the Nile, and on this side was Egypt and all of that. On that side was Mesopotamia and and all that. And you can see the civilizations building up. And then Japheth went that way into Africa. Shem went that way into China, and Ham went that way into the Caucasus Mountains, and all of the civilizations blew up that way. But we hadn't got there yet, so we'll keep moving. And the waters prevailed and increased greatly upon the earth. I want you to picture this. You know how the high tide works, right? The moon goes over and the tide rises like a big bubble on the earth. Well, there's land masses that stop the tide, so they crash into the land. Imagine when the water goes up above the land and there's no trees and no dirt to stop it, and it's just a harmonious wave continuously going around the earth, something like 800 miles an hour at the equator, something like that. So this water is just eviscerating the earth underneath with debris and sand and rocks, and just etch-a-sketching the earth, quite literally. That's why we don't find a lot of pre-flood stuff, because it was eviscerated. There's nothing left. Unified waterfront with nothing to stop it traveling over the earth. Amazing. And the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth, and all the high hills were under the whole heaven were covered. 15 cubits upward did the waters prevail, and the mountains were covered. 15 cubits above the mountains, the highest peak, I guess you could say. Now remember, the mountains that are here now were not here then. Those mountains were pushed up by the flood. And as the water receded, rock sank down into the low places, pushing up mountains in the regions. If you go inland from the ocean, there's a deep ocean, and then about so many miles out from the shore, it comes up shallow, like a bank, and then it comes into shore to where there's a beach, right? And then there's land, and you go inland, there's a mountain range on every continent. It's just like the water pushed up the land, just like that. And on every continent, inland, there's a mountain range right where the shore is, follows the shore, because that's what happened. And also spread the continents apart. The earth was quite literally broken up like a baseball if you removed all the threads. There's seams going around the baseball just like the earth. And those are the continental shift where all of the fault lines are and stuff like that. The earth broke open and pushed apart. And it's still moving to this day a little bit. Science calls that continental drift. I call it settling down from the flood. It's still happening. All right. And all flesh died that moved upon the earth, both of fowl and of cattle and of beast and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, and every man. Did that all happen at once? No, I imagine there were survivors for quite some time as the waters rose, when they found high places, and some got in boats, but they weren't arks. They were not prepared for the flood. They starved to death. Everybody died. All in whose the nostrils were the breath of life, of all that was on dry land, died. And every living substance was destroyed, which was upon the face of the ground, both man and cattle, and creeping things and fowls of heaven. And they were destroyed from the earth, and Noah only remained alive, and they that were with him in the ark. And the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days. That's half a year. The water was at full height, and then it began to recede. Another half a year it took for them to go away. So they were on the ark for about a year before they reached dry ground. And then for another long while, they lived in the ark while the water continued to recede and the land dried up. And once that happened, they let all the animals out. And they went wherever they went. And God remembered Noah and every living thing and all the cattle that was with him on the ark. And God made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters assuaged. They went into their respective places. Now, people might say, well, what happened to the waters of the flood? It's still here. The Atlantic and the Pacific are two regions that are quite full of water that was not here then. That water is the flood water, right? So the water seeped off into the low places because of the same kind of wind that caused the Red Sea to part, blew over the earth and caused the waters to assuage away from the ark, and they began to come out on dry land. The fountains also of the deep and the windows of heaven were stopped, but not completely. There are still places in the ocean today that are venting hot water from beneath the ground, still coming out today, still replenishing the ocean today. So you can go find that. There's not much. It's enough to keep the water fresh, but it's not enough to flood the world. And the rain from heaven was restrained, and the waters returned from off of the earth continually. And after the end of 150 days, the water were abated. And the ark rested in the 7th month on the 17th day of the month upon the mountains of Ararat. That's not one mountain, that's a mountain range. And that's in Turkey, the mountains of Ararat. Interestingly enough, there's a place there, which is called the City of the Eight in their language, where there is an ark-shaped escarpment in the rock, which was uncovered by an earthquake not too long ago. And it is the exact proportions of the ark, and it's shaped like a boat. And there it is. And they call it Noah's Ark. And they built a visitor center there, and they named the city around it and put road signs up so tourists could come in. And then a war started like it does everywhere else. There's a biblical artifact like the mountain that God came to, Mount Zion. That's in a war-torn area behind the fence. The Noah's Ark is in a war-torn area behind the fence. Every place else in the world where you can prove the Bible because of what's there is in a war-torn area behind the fence. Coincidence? I think not. Anyway, the waters were decreased continually until the 10th month. And in the 10th month, on the first day of the month, were the tops of the mountains seen. Oh, we see land. So, almost a year before they could see the top of a mountain. And it came to pass at the end of 40 days, Noah opened the window of the ark which he had made, and he sent forth a raven, which went to and fro. Now, a raven is dark, it's black, it's evil, and it goes to and fro. Does that sound familiar to you? It should, because when we read the book of Job, Satan popped up in heaven, and nobody freaked out. It's like he was supposed to be there, because he was. He's one of God's people, too. And he walks right into the throne room and says, hey, God, what's up? And God says, Satan, how's it hanging? He says, oh, nothing much. I've just been walking to and fro on the earth. Same phrase, same meaning, same expression right here. Is that significant? The fact that it's a raven and the fact that he went to and fro, somewhat significant, yes. You can draw a correlation to what Satan does with what's happening on earth right now, meaning that it's not completely gone away, that still is part of the plan. Other than that, it was just a raven that he sent forth. Until the waters were dried up from the earth. The raven didn't come back, though. I want to bring that up. The raven died. Also, he sent forth a dove. This is the dove, like the Spirit of God, the Holy Spirit lighting on Jesus like a dove. This is the symbol of light, the symbol of virtue. He sends out the dove, and the dove comes back with an olive branch, symbolizing he's found dry land. So the raven didn't come back, but the white bird did. Is that racist? No. The dove is symbolic of virtue and of righteousness. The raven is symbolic of evil and darkness. The raven abandoned Noah and the family. The dove came back to save the family, much like Christ came back to save all mankind. It's just symbolic. That's all. I just point it out. He also sent forth a dove from him to see if the waters were abated from off of the face of the ground. But the dove found no rest for the sole of her foot, and she returned unto him in the ark. For the waters were on the face of the whole earth. And then he put forth his hand and took her and pulled her in unto him into the ark. But this is the first time he sent the dove out. It's the next time that she brought back an olive branch. He stayed yet another 7 days, and again sent forth the dove out of the ark. And the dove came to him in the evening, and lo, in her mouth was an olive leaf plucked off. So Noah knew that the waters were abated from off the earth. And he stayed yet another 7 days, and sent forth the dove, which returned not again to him any more, meaning that she found a place to land. I'm guessing the raven just died. And it came to pass in the 601st year, in the first month, the first day of the month, the waters were dried up from off the face of the earth. And Noah removed the covering of the ark and looked, and behold, the face of the ground was dry. So finally they get to leave the ark. 601st year. I'm guessing that's of Noah's life. I don't know. The earth has been here more than 600 years. I don't know what that's referring to. It wasn't 600 years of flood, so it was only a year. So it must be talking about 601 years that Noah was on this earth. In the first month, on the 7th day of the month. That would be April the 7th. Or April the 1st, sorry. Remember that April is the first day of the month according to God. And in the second month, on the 7th and 20th day, 27th day of the month, the earth was dried. So a year and a couple months it took for the earth to dry up. And God spake unto Noah, saying, Go forth of the ark, thou and thy wife and thy sons' wives with thee. Bring forth with thee every living thing that is with thee of all flesh, both of fowl and of cattle, and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, that they may breed abundantly in the earth, and be fruitful and multiply upon the earth. As he said in the beginning, be fruitful and multiply. Subdue the earth, make it yours. And Noah went forth, and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him, and every beast, every creeping thing, every fowl, and whatsoever creepeth upon the earth, after their kinds, and went forth out of the ark, finally, back to land. And Noah builded an altar, Göbekli Tepe, unto the Lord, and took every clean beast, and of every clean fowl, and offered burnt offerings on the altar to God. Thank God, let's have a barbecue. We're out. So that's what they did. And the Lord smelled a sweet savor, and the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake, for the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. neither will I again smite any more everything living as I have done. I will not hurt you again the way that I just did. I give you my word that I see that man is evil from his youth. There's not a lot you can do about that. You can't fix it. You just have to roll with it and hope they make good decisions. Hope enough of them make good decisions. So we got to come up with a plan that will encompass the good people and subdue the bad people. That's where he's thinking about this. He says, but I will never curse the ground in the world again for man's sake, like I have done with Adam and with the flood. And I will never again smite every living thing like I just did. So you don't have to worry about that anymore. While the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. Hey, global warming people. Hey, environment people. Earth people. Hug a tree people. As long as there is an earth, as long as it remains viable, which it will not always be, but as long as it is, seed time and harvest, that's cold and warmth, will happen. Cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease. It's not going to happen. There is no such thing as global warming. The globe has always altered over time. It goes through periods of extreme heat and periods of extreme cold and periods of high water and periods of low water. But it will always do that. There will always be a summer. There will always be a winter. You will always have life that is abundant on this earth. You don't have to worry about that kind of thing. It's not going to happen. No asteroid is going to hit the earth and destroy it. It's not going to happen. And God blessed Noah and his sons and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. Replenish. Make more people and fill up the earth. Now, this word replenish is an Old English word. It means to fill, not to refill. That's the way we use it today. When it originally was created, it meant to fill. Like you would replenish a bucket in the water. So, I don't know why that's a distinction, because it makes perfect sense. Everybody's dead. They got to fill up the earth again by replenishing it, because there were people here before, and now we're going to fill it up again. But that's not what the word means. I'm pointing it out because it is a point of contention, but there it is. So either way you look at it, it means the same thing. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, and upon all that moveth upon the earth, and upon all the fishes of the sea. Into your hand are they delivered. This is the point where they stop being vegetarians. Up until this moment, every living thing was a vegetarian. So the tigers would not have killed everything on the ark the moment they got in the ark. That's not how it works. It wasn't until they released into the wild that they became ravenous and carnivorous. And the reason is because now you have to survive, and you have to get nourishment anywhere you can get it. And the whole world has been destroyed, so there's no store to go to, and there's no tree to cut down, and there's no animals to catch, except for the ones that are on the ark, and they have to survive. So now everything is scared of everything and stays away from everything so they can survive. If they just hung out together, they would eat each other. So they scattered. And also they live at the edges of the woods. They don't come out amongst men anymore. Now they're scared of men. Before this, you could lay down with a tiger and it would be fine. Or a gorilla, or a dinosaur, or whatever. They wouldn't eat you. And they were not afraid of you. But now they are. Because at this moment, God puts the fear of man in their heart so they can survive. It's a tactic. If you've ever lived in the woods, you understand this tactic. If you have not, you don't. All right, that's the end. That's where we're going to stop for today. We will pick up next week, 9/3. Man, what an intense, fantastic read that was tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned some things. I hope most of all it causes you to reach out to Almighty God with both hands and ask Him to be a part of your life and tell you about all the things He created here. Tell you how to live in this world that He wants you to live in and why. Do that. While you're thinking about it, won't you do me a favor, please? Hit that subscribe button and press the bell icon so you get notifications of when I'm going to be online. Smash that like button. It's free. It's effortless. It's right in front of you, and it really does help the channel with the algorithms. Helps us get recommended to other people. Won't you do that, please? Share this video with somebody you love. Better yet, share it with somebody you don't love. Bring them into the family. Make it part of the fold. Be part of their solutions, not part of their problems. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you're thinking about. Question me, curse me, challenge me, bless me, confront me, conform me, drink my Kool-Aid. Make your own Kool-Aid. As long as you're thinking critical, that's what I want. Critical thought coming from that brain of yours. And hey, if you love the Word of God and you can see the value in what I'm trying to build here and you'd like to help me build it, join the channel. Buy yourself a t-shirt. Put a super chat in the chat box. Something like that. But if you feel led to send tithes, offering, and love offerings to this humble ministry, you can do that by going to paypal.me/jakejohnsonband or Cash App, $JakeJohnsonband. Every little bit helps. It is a win-win. Of course, it's a blessing for me. But it's a blessing for you too, because God notices these things. When you help His, He helps you. And I'll prove that time and time and time and time again. Now, I will do everything in my power to be worthy of that support. I will answer all of your questions and comments. I will avail myself of you 24/7, as I always do right now. All right. How do you feel? What did you think? What did you learn? Did you feel like you gained insight? Do you feel like the world is opened up to you in some kind of way? Do you feel like your brain's turning into mayonnaise? Tell me what's on your mind. Can I have a cup of coffee, please? All right. Let's see where we are in chat. 906. Amber says, Angel Eye is Angela. And when I met her, Angel Eye was her name. Eyes is what I've always called her. Got it. Is she here? I haven't seen her. April says, thanks, Jake. My pleasure, sweetie. Amanda says, well, she's not here, Amber. Amber says, I think, or I'm hopeful she's my friend for a few years now. I could be mistaken. Well, if she's here, I hope she's listening. Judy says, I haven't seen her, Amber. What it is says, is an atom got something in common with Adam? Just asking. The atom, like no, other than he's made of them. I don't think they named it that for that reason. The word atom is short for atomic, not atom as in God's created being. But Adam is made out of atoms. I hope that answers your question. Ben David says, any man kills Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. Cain must be wandering the world. Not still, he died. Cain went on and had many children, and they became builders of cities. They were construction workers. Thank you. And eventually he died. He is not immortal. He's not walking the world like Kwai Chang Kang, solving crimes with his kung fu. He's not the Highlander. He's just a guy that made a mistake, and he went on and paid for it. I imagine he's in heaven. Cowboy says, whoa. Whoa is right. What are you woeing about? Kevin says, Jake, need to turn the page on the screen. No, I was reading something else about what was on the screen. Oh, my bad, says Kevin. You got it. Amanda says, it's okay, Kevin. April says, hi, what it is. Amber says, hang on, my chat jumped. Amber says, Rachel, are you my Facebook friend I invited? Could be. April says, Vera is Rachel. Yes. Amber says, my heart will smile so big if you are. And thanks to Jake and to Miss Hammer, I wasn't sad and lonely for Christmas and the holidays. Well, that's good, Amber. I'm glad we were here for you. And we love you, and we hope that you're not sad and lonely now. And if you are, reach out, honey. We're right here. We got your back. April says, wow. Amy says, him. Oh, sorry. Shem, Ham, and Japheth sounds like a soup group. A soul group. It could be. I don't know what they would sing. I got sunshine on a cloudy day. When it's cold outside, I got the month of May. Interesting, huh? I think it was May. Maybe they are a supergroup. And Kevin says, Watchers? Yes. The B'nai Ha-Elohim are the same, one and the same as the Watchers in the book of Enoch. April says, hi, Fab Daddy. Amber says, I was hopeful to help her the way I was here with love and friends. That's excellent. Oh, I hope she shows up. Ben David says, they look like us. Yes, except they don't have belly buttons. Ask me how I know. Go ahead. Amy says, Indiana was similar to that. A mini mountain range off the Great Lakes. Yes. That was undoubtedly caused by the flood, and as it poured over and went down into the ocean, it probably carved out many channels and pushed up rocks and made mountain ranges and smaller mountain ranges and great divots in the ground as it went, and the rocks that it was dragging along with it probably carved out the terrain quite nicely in the middle of the country. And if you look at a topographical map, you can see evidence of that. You can see where the water piled up around Canada and spilled over and went down into the Gulf of Mexico and into that part of the world. It's quite interesting. It's like a big spillway right through the Midwest. Amy says the unicorns were late for the boat. That's why they were not around today. Actually, I think unicorns are still here today. You ever seen antlers fall off a deer? There's a group of deer that the antlers come off in one piece off the top of their head. Technically, that's one horn. I know there's two antlers, but it's one piece. I think that's what unicorn are. I think they're just a deer. Or possibly some kind of antelope or goat or something. But it is a horned animal. I don't think they're horses with horns and wings like the Pegasus. I don't think that. I think that's a romanticized version of a unicorn. And there are a few animals that have one horn, such as a certain rhinoceros, a whale with a tooth that looks like a horn, a narwhal. So it could be one of those, but I think they're just another kind of animal, and that's what they called them in those days, and we call them something different now. Amy says, serious question. What about the semi-aquatic animals? Did they survive the flood? Such as? What semi-aquatic animal are you referring to? And if they're here, they survived the flood. Are you not talking about mermen, are you? Because they probably didn't. Amy says, I didn't realize that to send to and fro the raven. Yep, it's an interesting dichotomy. I don't know that it's important other than it's just the same language, so it draws your attention to that book. But it is the same language, and it's talking about the same thing, and the fact that it's a raven, symbolic of the darkness, there's something there. That'll preach. There's a sermon in there somewhere. I'm not good at sermons, though. Amy says, maybe that's why Edgar Allan Poe chose the raven in his poem. Undoubtedly, the ravens have always been symbolic of evil or darkness. And they're smart birds, too, so they freak people out. So in the old days, when you see a bird doing something like a 3-year-old child would do, you're like, whoa, that's weird. That's a demon, I would imagine. Because ravens are about as smart as a 3 or a 5-year-old child. Amy says, Lord, all caps. There is a difference between Lord capital L and Lord all caps and Lord lowercase. Anytime you see Lord with all caps, that's YHVH or Yahweh in the Bible. Anytime you see capital LORD, that's Elohim, that's God in the talking to man sense, not the God of all things, but the Lord God, the God of our people. Anytime you see a lowercase l, that just means a person who's in charge. It's pretty interesting. So Christ would be capital L-O-R-D when they refer to him. And God would be all capital letters when you're referring to him. And anybody that is the leader of a village would be Lord, just the word Lord. It's pretty interesting. Amanda says, great read, Jake. Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure. Amy says, thanks, Jake. Thank you. My pleasure. Kevin says, good read, Jake. Thank you. My pleasure. Amber says, beautiful read, Jake. I've read and heard these verses a lot, and I found your reading powerful. Thank you. My pleasure. I'm trying to do something good with it. I have a unique understanding of it, and I'm trying to share it. Linda says, thanks, Jake Hart. Thank you. My pleasure. I appreciate you. What it is says, the law of circulation. Yes. To all things, as what goes around comes around. That's a fact. Amber says, thank you, Miss Hammer, for sharing him. Oh, that's sweet. Kevin says, hamburger helper hand, what it is. And Amanda says, you're welcome, Amber. And what it is says, your chat's about to jump. Hang on. What it is says, it did answer the question. Good. Amanda says, what it is, hamburger helper hand again. And Kevin says, the Bible never speaks of Adam and Eve's daughters, only once, and that they were born. They didn't have a significant role to play, so they weren't mentioned. The Bible only names people that are part of the story. If they're not part of the story, they don't get names. There are a lot of women that do get names, but they're part of the story, right? So Adam's daughters, I'm sure they all went off and got married and had children of their own, but they're not significant to the story. But his sons were. Amber says, good evening, what it is, prayers and hearts. Kevin says, when God asked Adam what he was going to name his new partner, Eve started yapping, and Adam said, whoa, man. Yep. I made that joke last night. It's a good joke. What it is says, I enjoyed listening tonight. I'm going to make an effort to be here on Bible study and be open-minded and think about what I hear of what I heard of reading. Thank you, what it is. That's all I've asked of you. That's all I want you to do. I'm not trying to convert you. I'm just trying to enlighten you, open your eyes to what's there. Because I believe in my heart that the whole generation that I'm from has survived until today and have not really considered what's in the Bible, what it actually says. I think we spend most of our time listening to what other people say about the Bible and forming an opinion about the Bible based on what we've heard. And that's not the same thing as understanding it for yourself. So all I've ever asked is that you pay attention and be respectful and be honored of what I'm trying to give you. And that's it. And if you find yourself being converted, if God saves you, fantastic. I'll count that as a win. But that's not my goal here. I'm not trying to save you. I'm just trying to enlighten you. And I appreciate you making an effort to be here for Sunday and Monday Bible study. It'll all go about like it went tonight. Amanda says, no belly button because they weren't born. Right. A belly button means you had an umbilical cord attached to you at one time. Angels don't have that, so ergo, no belly button. So if you're ever curious, just ask them to show you their belly. If they show you their belly and there's no belly button, you're talking to an angel. But other than that, they look just like us, or can look just like us. I suppose that means they can give themselves a belly button too. I'm being facetious. I assume if you metamorphosize into something, you can copy it pretty clearly. But they weren't born unless they're one of the Nephilim, which are the fallen one's offspring. There's also a distinction between a Nephilim and a Raphaim, too. The word Rapha means of the dead, or land of the dead. So this word Raphaim or Rapha has been used quite a few times in the Bible, and I'll point it out when we get there. So there are the fallen ones, the Napha, the Nephilim, the offspring. Nephilim is plural, so it's the offspring of the fallen ones. And then you got the Rapha or the Raphaim, which are the offspring of the dead ones. Those are different beings, both celestial but of a different type. And I'll point that out when we get to it. And Amanda says, that's awesome what it is. Yes, it is, and thank you very much for that. I feel honored by your presence. And Amber says, smiley faces and cool smiley faces, Kevin. And Judy says, hey, what it is. Amy says, seals, sea lions, platypus, etc., semi-aquatic. Oh, yeah, they were on the ark. If they could waddle in there, they were on the ark. And by the way, fish and things that live in the water can survive a flood on their own because they can live in the water. So if they weren't on the ark, they survived anyway. What it is says, hello, Judy and Amber. Debbie says, Kevin, go back to the basement till you learn some manners. Damn. Get 'em, Debbie. What it is says, I was on my PC earlier, and that's why my name Randall showed up. Got it. Okay. And Amber says, Randall is your government name, ? Sounds like it. Randall Shackelford. It's a good name. Good, strong name. That sounds like you ought to own a car lot or something. Or a mechanic office. Matter of fact, I think we have a Randall Shackelford here in town, which is a mechanic. I think that's why I feel that way. Matter of fact, I think it's in my phone. Let me look and see. Oh, no. It's Randall Vandiford. Close, though. It's almost. Linda says, no, Aaron, tonight. I hadn't seen him. Linda, I don't know if he's feeling bad tonight or if he's busy or what. He might be in the chat lurking. Aaron, are you here? Run. Run. Amy says, Aaron has been working overtime and he's really tired. I bet. Amy says, the raft return broke and he got called in to fix it. I don't know what that means, but I assume he's working. What raft? Amber says, sorry, Rachel, if I was disrespectful. I just got excited to share my friends with a lonely soul. No disrespect here. None that I've seen. Oh, say that again. One of the machine returns from the ride. Okay, got it. What it is says, Jake, I was dunked once already as a child. Yes, baptized today. I have spiritual connection with God. My question is was it your choice? Baptism is an important part of Christianity because Christ did it. But it has to be your choice. You have to be willing to be dunked, or it doesn't mean anything. It only means something because you choose to do it. Shackelford Dodge. That's right. Don't it sound like that? Amy, you got it. But yeah, if you have a spiritual connection with God, then that's great. And again, I'm not questioning that. I'm just trying to delve into what we have missed from what the Bible actually says. And I feel like I missed a lot growing up, and I know everybody else did too. Amy says the raft return at the water park that Aaron works at. Got it. And what it is says Rusty Shackelford from King of the Hill. I got it. I don't watch that show, but yep. I'm just teasing you, though. It's a good name. It's better than Johnson. Like somebody knew somebody in the woodshed. That's my family line. Johnson. That's almost as bad as Smith. What a name. Amber says, Shackelford is common last name in Georgia. Lots of roads and companies, right? And Houston. For some reason in Georgia, the word isn't Houston, it's Houston. I never figured that one out, but that's the way they say it. And also, Martinez in Georgia is Martinez. Martinez, not Martinez. They put the syllable in the wrong emphasis. Kevin says, I'm wondering how many children could a 900-year-old woman give birth to? A bunch. Probably not at 900 years old, but along the way, a bunch. You can have 2 kids a year if you do it right. Ask me how I know. Yeah, you can. Yes, you can. My children are a month apart, 2 months apart. How many months is in a year?
12, and you're pregnant for 9.
Yep, and 9 plus 9 is what?
18.
So a month and a quarter?
No.
So you can have 2 kids within a year. Yes, you can. I didn't mean that you could bracket it in 365 days. I mean, in 1 year, you can birth 2 children. You absolutely can. I did. That's how I know. Just as fast as she spit one out, and I put another one right back in there. Question me. Amber says, I was born Cannon. First marriage, Tavares. Now Grounds. Nice. I was born Johnson, and I just got bigger. Amy says, Sarah laughed when God said she was going to have a child at 90. Yes, and that was still when people lived a long time. At least 300 years back then. So, apparently at about 90, you start drying up. But when you lived 1,000 years, I would imagine that was a little further up to around 500, 600 years. Because you got to double. And like if it takes you 20 years to reach adulthood now, and we live about 100 years, add to that 900 more years, and reaching the age of adulthood would take longer. So you live 200-300 years before you reach the age of 20. Physically speaking. If that makes any sense. Linda says, yes, they are called twins. Irish twins. Yep. Amanda says 9 and 9 is 18, which is a year and 6 months. And they have to be at least 10 months apart. Nope, they don't. I'm telling you, 2 months after she had a baby, she was pregnant again. That's 2 months apart. November, December. That's their birth dates. Amber says, my grandmother's mom had her last baby, and my Aunt Becky the same year. My grandmother had my first aunt, and they both gave birth within months apart. Right on. And Amber says, I've heard that expression, Linda. The Irish twins. That's 11 months apart. Okay. Kevin says, if I had to live to 900 years old, I'd want to do it in my mid-20s. Amen. I don't know how that works. I don't know if you get old the same way you do and you're just old for 800 years. I don't think so. I think you'd probably start getting old at about 600, 700 years. But, yeah, I would much rather live that long with my faculties and my body intact. Amen to that. Right. They're born. Yeah, Linda says it right. I think he meant that they're 10 months apart, so they are literally born within a 12-month period. Exactly. You can spit out 2 kids in a year. That's what I meant to say. I don't mean that you could carry them within the year frame, but you can have both children in a year's time. Jesus Christ. I don't know why people question me. And still going. Still can't keep her mouth shut. One was born in November and then in December of the following year. No, the same year. It was at the end of the year and on into the next year. So one was born in 2004. The other one was born in 2005 of the same period. I don't know why you can't see that. Amy says, my nieces of my husband's side have the same birthday a year apart. That's crazy. That's pushing it real tight. Amber says, also known as waiting 5.5 weeks for relations after birth. Yeah, we didn't. Country folks saying. And that's true. You should wait. For whatever reason, we didn't. But I guess she bounced back pretty quickly. It's her second set of children. So she was pretty young. So she was able to get over it quickly. But you should wait a while before repregnating because your body has to heal from all of that and replenish. We just wanted to get it out of the way, I guess. And so we did. But if I had it to do all over again, I'd wait a whole year before doing it again. Amanda says, that's what I was saying. No, you're literally trying to say I'm wrong about what I experienced. I'm not. Amber says, itching to put another bun in the oven. Exactly. And we wasted no time doing it. Amy says, 2 kids within the same year is called an amazingly huge tax check. Yeah, I guess. It had its perks for sure. Still talking, Amanda. Stop questioning me. I don't care what your point is. I said what I said, and I stand by it. $10 or 11 months apart, whatever you want to call it, they were both born within a year period. That's what I meant. That's what I said. What it is says, focus, Jake, focus. Good night, you all. Good night, what it is. And Amanda says, good night, y'all. I'm going too. It's 10:35. Have a great night, everybody. God bless you all. I'll see you next time on Wednesday night for Untethered Live Bible Study. No, chill stream. Amber says, y'all have a blessed night. My blood sugar is low 100s, and I'm about to get my fat girl happy on. Take it easy. Don't push it too hard. Have a great night, and God bless you all. I'll see you next time. When you're going out into the world tomorrow, be nice to somebody. I promise you, it will change your life. Judy says, bye, y'all. And Amber says, hamburger helper hands. And Amy says, have a blessed night and day. See y'all hump day. Kevin says, good night, y'all. And good night, everybody. Thank you for watching. God bless.
Bye.